Zane here. Welcome back to Passionate Beauty Tales. When someone pounds on your front door at 3 in the morning, you expect trouble. You do not expect the woman from across the street standing there in a thin robe, bare feet on the wood, shaking like the world is falling apart. That was what I saw when I opened my door and found Brooke. For a few seconds, my sleepy brain did not catch up. I had just gotten home from the night shift at the warehouse. My body still felt like it was walking long, empty halls, checking locked doors and watching dark screens. I had crashed on my couch, boots still on, and was dead asleep when the knocking pulled me out of it. The clock on my phone had said 3:02 a.m. Now Brooke stood under my porch light, her dark hair loose around her face, eyes wide and wet. The skin around them was red like she had been crying or like she had not really slept for days. Her gray robe was wrapped tight, but her whole body trembled. "Mason," she whispered. My name broke in the middle like it hurt to say. "Please." I heard footsteps in my house. "Someone is inside. I am not going back there alone." Her words hit me harder than the knocking had. Nothing good happens at 3 in the morning. That thought flashed through my head like a warning sign. "Okay," I said, even though my heart was pounding. Somehow my voice came out steady. "Stay here, on the porch. Do not move." I left the door open so she could see me and went straight to the kitchen drawer where I kept my work flashlight. It was small but heavy, one of those metal ones with a bright beam. From there I grabbed the old wooden baseball bat my dad had given me when I was 12. The handle was worn smooth from an entire childhood of summer evenings. When I turned back, Brooke was still standing where I had left her, arms crossed tight over her chest, bare toes curled against the cold boards. She looked smaller than she ever had from across the street, not like the woman who walked fast from car to front door with sunglasses on and never looked back. "Are you sure you heard someone?" I asked. She nodded too fast. "Upstairs," she said. Her voice shook on each word. I heard the floor creak and a door. I thought it was the wind. Then I heard it again. I ran out the back, around the side, straight here. There was no doubt in her eyes. Just fear. "Okay," I said. I tightened my grip on the bat. "Stay here. If you see anything, call 911. Her throat worked. "No cops," she whispered. "Not yet. I cannot deal with them. Please, Mason." There was something behind that plea. Something old. A whole story I did not know. But this was not the time to dig into it. "Fine," I said. "But you stay on this porch until I come back, got it?" She bit her lower lip and nodded. The night outside was cold and quiet when I stepped into the street. The kind of quiet that feels too big. No cars. No voices. Just the faint hiss of a far-off highway and a few stubborn crickets that had not accepted that summer was over. Our houses sat near the edge of the neighborhood. Mine was a small one-bedroom with peeling paint and a tired porch. Hers was a bit nicer, clean lines, a neat little yard she kept trimmed even though I never saw her actually out there. Her front door was slightly open. Not wide, just a narrow slice of dark. It made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I pushed it with the end of the bat. The hinge gave a slow groan that sounded too loud in the stillness. "Hello," I called into the dark. "Anyone in here?" No answer. Just the low hum of a fridge and the faint ticking of a wall clock somewhere inside. I clicked on the flashlight. The beam cut through the dark, sliding over a small table by the door, mail stacked in a neat pile, a pair of shoes lined up side by side. Nothing thrown, nothing broken, nothing that screamed chaos. But the air felt wrong. Heavy, like the house was holding its breath. I checked the living room first. Couch, coffee table, a blanket tossed over the back, a book open face down on the arm, a wine glass on the counter with a little bit of red left at the bottom. It looked like any normal late night. "Anyone here?" I called again, louder this time. Silence. The kitchen was the same. A couple of dishes in the sink. A chair pushed back from the table, like someone had stood up too fast. Then my eyes slid to the back door. The lock was scratched, the wood around it splintered. Not a lot, but enough. Like someone had tried to force it, and then stopped or been scared off. My stomach tightened. I moved closer and ran my thumb along the broken wood. It felt rough and fresh. No dust, no old marks. The metal on the lock had bright little lines where a tool had scraped it. Someone had been here. I pictured Brooke upstairs, hearing the low creak of a door, hearing a foot on the floor, realizing she was not alone, then running barefoot into the night. I swallowed hard and went back to the hallway. The stairs complained under my weight. The flashlight beam bounced across family photos on the wall, but I did not stop to study them. I just kept moving. Bathroom. Small, clean, empty. Guest room. Boxes stacked, a bare mattress on the floor. Nothing moved. Her bedroom door was half closed. I pushed it open with the bat, my pulse loud in my ears. The bed was unmade, covers thrown aside like she had jumped up fast. The window was open a little, just enough to let in a thin line of cold air. The curtain moved gently with each breath of wind. Closet, under the bed, behind the door. I checked it all. Nothing. You can tell when a person is in a room. The air feels different. There was no one here now. Just the echo of fear. I went through the rest of the upstairs, opening every door, shining the light into every corner until there was nowhere left to look. Whoever had tried to get in was gone. On the way back down, the house felt bruised, like it had been hit hard and was still stunned. That was the only way I could describe it. I crossed the street again. Brooke had not moved. She stood on my porch where I left her, arms wrapped around herself, eyes locked on me like I was the only thing keeping her from falling apart. "Well?" she asked, voice barely there. "It is clear," I said. I tried to sound calm. "No one is inside now. But your back door lock is messed up. Looks like someone tried to break in." She let out a shaky breath, but her shoulders did not really relax. Her hands still shook. "You are sure they are gone?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "I checked every room twice. You are safe for now, but you should not stay there alone tonight." She looked past me at her house, then back at me. In that second, I could see everything she was trying to hold in. Fear, pride, exhaustion that went deeper than one bad night. "You have anyone close?" I asked. "Family, friends." She shook her head. "Not here," she said. "Not anymore." The words hit somewhere deep. I knew that kind of alone. I had lived it since my dad's accident. A quiet house that stayed quiet no matter how loud the TV was. "Come inside," I said, stepping back and opening my door wider. "Stay here tonight. You should not go back there alone." She searched my face like she was trying to see if I meant it. Then she nodded and walked past me into my house. If I had known how much that simple choice would change my life, maybe I would have been more scared. She sat on my couch like she did not quite trust it. Like if she relaxed, the floor might drop out. I grabbed a clean blanket from the closet and put it over her shoulders. Her fingers held onto the edges so tight her knuckles went white. I turned on the small lamp beside the couch. The soft yellow light made the room feel warm and close. Outside was cold and dark. In here felt like a small island. I made some tea, I said a few minutes later, holding out a chipped mug. "It is not great, but it is hot." She took it with both hands. Her fingers brushed mine. They were ice cold. She held the mug close, breathing in the steam like it was the only steady thing in the room. "Thank you," she whispered. "I am sorry for dragging you into this." "You did not drag me," I said, dropping into the old armchair across from her. My bat leaned against the wall. The flashlight sat on the coffee table between us like a small guard dog. "I am right across the street. This is kind of a deal." She blinked at me. "What deal?" "You move into the neighborhood. You get one free 3 a.m. panic visit," I said. "Rules are rules." Her lips twitched. Not quite a smile, but close. Her shoulders eased just a little. "I moved here to get away," she said after a while, staring into her mug. "From the city. From my old life. I thought a quiet place like this would be safe." "Divorce?" I asked softly. She hesitated, then nodded once. "Yeah, he was not a good man." That was all she gave me, but it was more than she had ever said before. I told her about my dad then. About the accident 2 years ago. About how my mom moved away and I stayed, working nights, walking empty halls so I did not have to think too much. "Sometimes steady feels a lot like lonely," I said before I could stop myself. Her eyes lifted to mine. For a second, she looked at me like she really saw me. Not just the guy in a gray work shirt who parked his old truck across the street. By the time the first thin light of morning began to slip, cool air all faded. There was only her and that open look on her face. Then she straightened, took a breath, and the moment shifted. I went back to the screws. By the time I finished and tested the new lock, the rain had stopped. The sky was still gray, but a thin stripe of light showed at the edge of the clouds. "Try it," I said, stepping back. She turned the lock, pulled the handle, tested the door from inside and out. The metal clicked firm and clean. "Feels different," she said. "It is stronger now," I said. "If anyone tries that again, They are going to have a harder time. She nodded, then looked at me in a way that made me feel like she was talking about more than just the door. Stay for a bit, she asked. I made real coffee this time. Not panic tea. Inside, her kitchen looked warmer in the daylight. A small plant sat on the windowsill. A few magnets and old photos were stuck on the fridge. The space felt lived in but not quite claimed yet, like she was still deciding how much of herself she was allowed to put here. We sat at the small table. She poured coffee into 2 mismatched mugs. You do this for all your neighbors? She asked. Middle of the night rescues, home repairs, emotional support, and coffee. No, I said. Just the ones who knock at 3 a.m. She laughed, an easy sound this time. I liked the way it filled the kitchen. Over the next few days, a pattern started without either of us really talking about it. After my shift, I would park my truck, step out into the quiet street, and look across at her house. If her living room light was on, I would walk over to check the doors and windows. Everything good? I would ask. Yeah. She would say most mornings, lighter robe pulled tight around her, hair tied up. Better now. Sometimes she made coffee. Sometimes I only stayed a few minutes, long enough to walk through the rooms and prove the night had not reached her. One evening, I showed up with a small, heavy flashlight from work. Here, I said, placing it on her counter. Keep this by your bed, just in case. She picked it up, turning it in her hand. Mason, you do not have to keep doing this. I know, I said. I want to. Her fingers brushed mine as she handed it back, so I could show her the switch. My heart did that same stupid jump it kept doing around her. You are making it hard to stay scared, she said quietly. Good, I answered. That is the point. At night when I was home, I would hear her jazz records through my open window. Soft piano, slow trumpet, a low voice on an old song. The sound crossed the street and slipped into my house, filling up corners that used to feel empty. One Saturday evening, she texted me for the first time. Brooke, do you have plans tonight? Me. Work later. Why? Brooke, I keep hearing the back fence move. Can you take a look? I was already pulling on my boots when I typed back. Me. Be there in 2 minutes. The sun was just starting to drop when I walked around the side of her house. The yard felt smaller than it looked from the street, boxed in by a wooden fence that had seen better years. I pushed on one section near the back. The wood gave a little, the post loose in the wet ground. Probably just the wind, I said. Still, I can brace it tomorrow. Make it less noisy. She stood on the porch steps, arms wrapped around herself. I hate that I jump at every sound, she said. I used to be braver than this. You ran out of your house and across the street when you were scared, I said. That is brave. She looked at me like she did not quite believe it. We ended up inside on her couch. A movie played on the TV, something old and black and white. She sat on one end, I sat on the other. The distance between us only a few feet, but it felt like a lot. Halfway through, she muted the sound. The room went quiet except for the soft whir of the ceiling fan. I did not just hate cops because of the hassle, she said, eyes fixed on the frozen screen. My ex had friends in the department. When I tried to leave the first time, I thought they would help me. I was wrong. My chest tightened. What happened? They told me to go home and talk it out, she said. Said he seemed like a nice guy. That maybe I was overreacting. That if I left without proof, it would just be drama. Anger rose hot and fast in my throat. They really said that. She nodded once. So I stopped asking for help. I stayed longer than I should have. By the time I finally got out, I promised myself I would not depend on anyone like that again. She turned her head then and looked at me. Her eyes were wet but steady. And then I pounded on your door at 3 in the morning, she said. You did not depend on me, I said. You asked. There is a difference. Feels the same in my chest, she whispered. I wanted to close the space between us. The urge was so strong it made my fingers ache. But I stayed where I was, hands tied on my knees. How old are you, Mason? She asked after a moment. 24, I said. You? She snorted softly. Old enough that I want to lie, she said. 39. I turned my head. So what? I said. She stared at me. So what? She repeated, like she had never heard it put that way. You think I did all this because I thought you were the same age as me? I asked. She huffed out a breath that was almost a laugh. No, she said. I think you did it because you are a good person who has no idea what he is getting himself into. Maybe, I said. But it still feels like I am getting into something better than what I had before. Her eyes held mine for a few long seconds. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. She opened her mouth like she was going to say something, then shut it again and looked away. We finished the movie. She turned the sound back on. On the screen, two actors kissed in the rain while dramatic music swelled. On the couch, the air between us buzzed with everything not being said. Near the end of the night, her phone lit up on the coffee table. The screen flashed with an unknown number. It buzzed once, twice, then stopped. She stared at it, all the color draining from her face. "Do you know that number?" I asked. She shook her head, but her hands started to shake. "It could be anyone," she said. "Telemarketer." Wrong number. The phone buzzed again. This time a text appeared on the screen. From unknown. "Nice place." The words looked small and harmless on the lit glass, but they sent a cold wave through my whole body. Brooke's breath hitched. "How would a wrong number know that?" she whispered. The room suddenly felt smaller. The broken lock was fixed, but something else had just cracked open. For a moment, neither of us moves. The phone sits in the middle of the coffee table, screen glowing, that short message staring up at us. "Nice place." Brooke's hand tightens on the edge of the couch. Her knuckles go white. I can hear her breathing, short and sharp. "Brooke?" I say quietly. "Who else has your new number?" She swallows. "Work," she says. "The electric company, the water company. One friend from the city." "That is it." "Your ex?" I ask. She shakes her head fast. "No. I changed my number. I changed everything. He should not have this." The phone buzzes again. Another text appears. "You always did like quiet streets." My jaw tightens. Anger rises hot in my chest, mixing with something colder. "Has to be him," I say. "No one else would send that." Brooke lets out a shaky breath and leans back as if something hit her. "I knew this was too easy," she whispers. "A house. A street where no one knows me. I really thought I could disappear." "You did not do anything wrong," I say. "Wanting to feel safe is not wrong." She nods, but I can see that she is not really taking that in. The phone buzzes again. "You going to open the door for me this time, or do I have to knock?" I stand up so fast the couch moves under my hand. "Stay?" "Here," I say. Her eyes snap to mine. "Where are you going?" "To check," I say. "To make sure he is not outside." I grab my flashlight out of habit, even though it is not that late. The sky outside is turning dark, streetlights just starting to come on. I move to the front window and pull the curtain back an inch. The street is empty. Just my old truck, her small car, and the dark line of trees at the far end. "No one is there." I call back to her. "Not yet." "Not yet," she repeats, voice flat. I check the backyard next. The loose fence post from earlier, the patchy grass, the neighbors shed over the fence. No one there either. When I come back to the living room, Brooke is still staring at the phone. She has not picked it up. "We should call someone," I say. "A lawyer, the police, somebody. This is messed up." Her mouth tightens. "The last time I called, they told me to stop being dramatic," she says. "To stop wasting their time." "That was there," I say. "This is here. New town, new people. We can at least ask what your options are." She looks at me for a long moment like she is weighing everything in her head. "I hate that you keep saying we," she says softly, "and I like it at the same time." I sit back down, a little closer than before. Not right next to her, but close enough that our knees almost touch. "You knocked on my door," I say. "You made it a we." I am not giving that back. Her eyes shine, but she nods. "Okay," she says. "Tomorrow. We will call." I do not want to do it alone. "You will not," I say. We block the number for the night. It is a small move, but it is something. Still, every time a car passes outside, Brooke flinches. Every time a floorboard creaks, she looks toward the door. I walk her through the house again before I leave. I check the new lock, the windows, the back fence. When I finally cross the street to my house, the sky is fully dark. I sit on my own couch in the dim light, staring at my phone. My thumb hovers over her name more than once. I do not want to smother her, but I also do not want to just hope she is okay. Before I decide, my phone buzzes. "Brooke, are you awake?" "Me." "Yeah, Brooke." I keep hearing that text in my head. "Me. Want company?" There is a pause that feels longer than it is. "Brooke, not tonight. Just needed to know you were there." I look out my window. Her living room light glows across the street. I can almost see her in there, blanket around her shoulders, that heavy flashlight on the table, watching the door the way I am watching my phone. "Me. I am here. If anything feels wrong, call me or come over." "Anytime, Brooke. I know." Thank you. I fall asleep on my couch again, phone in my hand. The next day we are both tired, but we go to the station like we said we would. The building is small, with tan walls and a tired flag out front. Brooke's hands shake as she fills out forms at a metal desk. I sit in a hard chair against the wall, useless but present. The officer who talks to us is calm, older, with lines at the corners of his eyes. He listens to Brooke. Really listens. He does not roll his eyes. He does not wave her off. He asks questions, slow and careful. By the end of it, she has a list of steps she can take. Document any contact. Save messages. Change locks, which we already did. He tells her she can file for a protective order, and that they will take it seriously. It does not fix everything, but there is weight in his words, and I can see a small piece of fear loosen in her shoulders. After that, the days slip into a strange new normal. Sometimes I am at work walking dark aisles and checking doors. Sometimes I am at her kitchen table while she drinks coffee and tells me small stories about her old life. The good parts, not just the bad. A bakery she loved. A park bench where she used to read. A record store that always smelled like dust and old wood. I tell her about my dad's terrible jokes, about the time we tried to fix the roof ourselves and almost fell off, about my mom who sends long texts from 3 states away, checking if I am eating enough. We talk about anything that is not him, but he is there in the quiet places. In the way she pauses before opening her front door. In the way her eyes flick to the window when a car slows on our street. A week passes with no new texts. No strange calls. I start to hope he has given up. Then one night, everything shifts again. It is a night I am supposed to be at work. I am in my kitchen making a quick sandwich before I leave when my phone buzzes. Brooke, did you switch shifts tonight? I frown and wipe my hands on a towel. Me, yeah? Jake took my hours. Why, Brooke? Did you park somewhere else? I walk to my front window and look out. My truck is right where I left it at the curb. Her living room light is on. The street is quiet. Me, no. I am home. There is a longer pause this time. Brooke, there is a car outside. My chest tightens. I grip the phone, my thumb moving fast. Me, stay away from the windows. I am coming over. I do not grab the bat this time. I do not need to. I am already moving. The air outside is cool. The sky is dark, but not deep night dark. The time when people are still awake, but thinking about sleep. I step onto my porch and stop long enough to see what she meant. A car I do not know is parked in front of her house. Dark paint, small, clean, the kind of car that looks expensive even from across the street. The engine is off. The headlights are still on, washing light over her steps. I cross the street fast, but not running. Every part of me feels awake, like someone flicked a switch inside. Brooke opens the door before I reach it. She stands in the doorway, face pale, eyes wide. Is it him? I ask. I do not know, she says. I cannot see. He has not gotten out yet. We both look through the narrow space between the edge of the curtain and the wall. The driver door finally opens. A man steps out. He is tall, a little older than me, wearing a dark jacket and jeans. Even from this distance, I can see the way he moves. Confident. Sure nothing will stop him. Brooke's hand finds my arm. Her fingers dig into my sleeve. Mason, she whispers. That is him. Her ex. I feel something hot rise in my chest again, stronger than before. Anger. Protective fear. All of it mixed together. He looks at the house for a long second. Then he starts up the walkway like he has done it 100 times. I turn to Brooke. Go to the hallway, I say. Somewhere he cannot see you through the glass. You do not have to face him unless you want to. She nods, but her eyes are locked on mine. Do not do anything that gets you hurt, she says. I am just talking, I say. She gives my arm one last squeeze, then steps back into the shadows. The knock comes a second later. 3 hard hits that shake the door. Brooke, a male voice calls. I know you are in there. Open the door. Every muscle in my body goes tight. I take a slow breath, like I do sometimes at work when I am about to deal with someone drunk and angry. Then I unlock the deadbolt and pull the door open just enough to stand in the gap. A face looks back at me. Sharp jaw, neat hair, eyes that move over me like I am a piece of furniture in his way. He smiles, but there is no warmth in it. This is Brooke's house, he says. Who are you? I feel my heart hammering in my chest, but my voice comes out steady. I am Mason, I say. Her neighbor. His smile drops. Good for you, he says. Tell her to come out. She and I need to talk. Behind me, the house is quiet. I can feel Brooke's fear like a live wire in the air. I can feel my own pulse, loud in my ears. No, I say. She does not want to talk to you. You need to leave. He stares at me like he cannot believe what he just heard. The space between us fills with a tight, sharp silence. Right then, I know one thing for sure. Whatever happens next is going to change everything again. He looks at me like I am a joke that is not funny. I do not think you understand, he says. His voice is smooth, but his eyes are hard. This is between me and my wife. Ex-wife, I say. His jaw twitches. She tell you that? She showed me the papers, I answer. She does not want to see you. You should leave. He takes a step toward the door. I do not move. I keep my shoulder in the gap, so he cannot see past me. Move, he says. The fake polite tone is gone now. She owes me a conversation. No, I say. She does not. For a second, there is only the sound of both of us breathing and the faint hum of the streetlight. You are what, he asks. 20? 22. 24, I say. He snorts. Cute, he says. Listen, kid. You have no idea what you are in the middle of. You do not know our history. You do not know what she did. I know she came here to get away. I say. I know she sleeps better when you are not around. That is enough for me. His eyes narrow. He leans a little closer. Is that what she told you? He asks. That I am the monster. That she is the poor scared thing. She is good at that. She leaves out the parts that make her look bad. Behind me, I hear a small breath in the hall. I do not turn, but I feel Brooke there like a shadow at my back. You drove to a town you do not live in. I say. You sent her creepy texts. You showed up without calling. You are not exactly making your case here. Color rises in his face. He looks past my shoulder, trying to see inside. Brooke, he calls. Come on. Tell him to move. We need to talk. I do not turn. I do not call for her. I keep my body in the space, one hand flat on the door. She is not coming. I say. His eyes lock on mine. The air between us feels thick. You think you can protect her? He asks, voice lower now. You think this is some sweet little movie? Guy from across the street runs in and saves the day. You have no idea who she really is. You are a night guard with a truck that barely runs. Do you really think she is going to pick you over me? The words hit, but they do not land the way he wants. I feel anger rise, stronger now, steady and hot. I do not care what you think she will pick. I say. I care what she already chose. She chose to leave. She chose to come here. She chose to knock on my door, not yours. His mouth pulls into a thin line. Last chance, he says. Move, or this gets ugly. My heart is pounding so hard I can feel it in my fingers, but my feet stay where they are. My dad used to tell me that there are moments in life where you get to see who you really are. This feels like one of those moments. No, I say. I am not moving. We stare each other down. I can see the thought cross his face. He could push the door. He could try to shove me. He could make a scene. I can also see the porch light from the neighbors down the street, the open windows, the fact that this is not his space anymore. He steps back. You think you won something, he says, his voice low and cold. You did not. She is going to do what she always does. Run. Blame. Play the victim. When she turns on you, remember I tried to warn you. He turns and stalks down the steps. His shoes hit the sidewalk hard. He yanks the car door open and drops into the driver's seat. I watch him start the engine. The car pulls away fast, tires hissing on the asphalt. I keep my eyes on the red tail lights until they fade at the end of the street. Only then do I feel my hands shaking. I close the door and turn the deadbolt. The click sounds loud in the quiet house. Brooke stands a few feet away in the hall, arms wrapped around herself. Her face is pale, eyes wet, but she is standing. Is he gone? She asks. Yeah, I say. My voice is rough. He is gone. Her shoulders sag like someone cut a rope, holding them up. I walk back to the living room. She follows. The jazz record that was playing earlier is still spinning. The music low and steady like it does not know the world just shook. You should call your lawyer tomorrow, I say. Tell him what happened. Save the texts. Ask about a stronger order. You do not have to wait for him to show up again. She nods, slow. I will, she says. You are right. We sit down. I drop into the armchair. She sinks onto the couch, but this time she does not tuck herself all the way into the corner. She sits closer to the middle, turned a little toward me. I am sorry, she says after a minute. You did not sign up for this. Angry exes on the porch, drama, all of it. I open the door. I say, That was my choice. She lets out a breath that is half laugh, half sob. She brushes at her face. When I heard his voice, she says, it felt like I was back there. Same walls, same building, same script. I could hear every fight in my head. Every time he told me no one would believe me. Every time I almost left and did not. She looks up at me. Her eyes are red but clear. And then you were there, she says. You did not tell me to calm down. You did not tell me to be nice. You just stood between us. That is what you do for people you care about, I say. The words leave my mouth before I can dress them up. She stills. For a second, the room feels like it is not breathing. You care about me, she says. It is not really a question, but it feels like one. Yes, I say. My voice shakes a little, but I do not look away. I do. She stares at me like she is trying to see if I mean it. What about the age thing? She asks quietly. What about the divorce? The nights I wake up shaking, the police reports, the history. You really want all that? I think about my small house across the street. My dented couch. My dad's coin box under my bed. The long nights at the warehouse where the only sound is my own footsteps and the hum of lights. Then I think about her porch light. Her horrible strong coffee. The sound of her records moving across the street into my open window. The way she looked when she whispered my name at 3 in the morning. I want you, I say. All of it. The scared parts, the strong parts, the new start, the bad nights. I want the woman who ran across the street in bare feet, and the one who laughs at my stupid rules about free panic visits. I want the noise and the quiet. I want you. Her eyes fill again. She lets out a small, shaky breath. I do not know if I remember how to do this, she says. Trust. Let someone in. Not walk on eggshells all the time. We can figure it out, I say. Slow. One day at a time. No rush. No rules but ours. She studies my face for a long moment. I let her. I do not try to fill the silence. Then she stands and steps toward me. Stand up, she says softly. I do. My heart is pounding against my ribs so hard I can feel it in my throat. She is close now. I can see the faint lines at the corners of her eyes, the way her hair curls near her neck, the small scar on her chin I never noticed before. She is not some perfect movie picture. She is real and tired and strong and scared, and all of it makes my chest ache. She lifts her hands and puts her fingers on my chest. Light, careful. I almost did not knock that night, she says. I stood on your porch for a full minute. I told myself I was being stupid, that I should just go back and handle it like I always did. Then I saw the light under your door, and I thought, if anyone is awake at 3 a.m., it is the guy who walks empty halls all night. She swallows. I am glad I was right, she says. Me too, I say. She takes a breath, then leans in and kisses me. It is not a wild kiss. It is not a movie kiss. It is slow and careful and a little shaky. Her lips are warm. I feel her tremble for a second, then feel her steady herself against me. My hands come up on their own. One rests at her waist, the other at her shoulder. I do not pull her in hard. I just hold her there like we both need proof that this is real. When we pull back, our foreheads almost touch. Her eyes are close enough that I can see the tiny flecks of lighter brown in them. I am not going back alone, she whispers. The same words as that first night, but they sound different now. Stronger. Not a plea. A choice. You never have to, I say. Not if you do not want to. Weeks pass. She talks to her lawyer. Files the papers she needs to file. Sets up a camera for her porch. The number gets blocked for real. When he tries again, it goes into a file, not into her life. He does not come back to the street. If he drives by, we do not see him. We build a new rhythm. I still work nights, but not every night. I trade shifts when I can. Some evenings we cook together in her small kitchen. She chops like she knows what she is doing. I try and cut things uneven and make her laugh. We watch old movies on her couch. Sometimes she leans into my side, her head on my shoulder. Sometimes we sit with our legs touching and talk over the movie instead of watching it. The neighborhood notices. People see me on her porch more. They see her on mine. There are looks, a few quiet smiles, a raised eyebrow or two. They do not know the whole story. They do not know about the night she ran barefoot across cold boards, or about the old bat leaned against my wall, or about the way my hands shook when I closed the door on the man who used to own her fear. They do not need to. One clear night, we sit on her front steps. The sky above us is dark and wide. A few stars show where the streetlights do not reach. Brooke leans into me, her head against my shoulder. My arm is around her, easy now, like it learned the path and likes it. Do you ever think about that first night? She asks. All the time, I say. What if I had slept through it? What if you had gone back? What if you had knocked on some other door? I almost did not knock, she says. I almost went back. I could hear my own voice in my head telling me I was making a big deal out of nothing. I almost listened. What made you stay? I ask. She smiles, small and real. I saw the light under your door, she says again. And I thought, I am so tired of being alone in the dark. I hoped you would answer. That was all. I press a kiss to the side of her head. I am glad I did, I say. She turns her face toward me, eyes soft in the porch light. I kiss her, slow and sure. The street is quiet around us. Not empty quiet. Full quiet. The kind that feels like the world is giving us room. My name is Mason. I am 24. I work nights as a guard in a warehouse and live in a small house on a quiet street. Across from me lies the woman who knocked on my door at 3 in the morning with bare feet, shaking hands, and a whisper that changed everything. Please do not let me go back alone. I opened the door then. I am still opening it now.
If you felt good in this story, stay with us. Like, subscribe, and join me in the next one.